This is the ribs to thigh drill. This is one of the most fundamental long jump or triple jump landing drill that any athlete needs to understand. So if you don't watch any other video, this is super important. I'm going to demonstrate how to do this. You can watch me do it, and then I'll show you why we do this drill and how to properly set it up and how to properly execute it. So go watch the video and then come on back. Okay, so the first thing I usually do is I have my athletes just take their hands and put them up over their head. And I say, okay, I want you everybody to touch your toes. So this is 90% of what the athletes will do is this. They'll go, okay, so you see my back's all rounded. I'll tuck in my shirt so it's nice and tight. So their back will be all rounded, and they'll either be here or maybe they will be touching their toes, but usually they'll be about like right here. So you notice I'm not touching my toes. So I say, okay, everybody, stand up. All right, so I say, everybody, I want you to bend your knees and touch your toes. And so then the athletes will go, okay, and they'll do this, right? So they'll be able to touch their toes when they bend their knees. And I say, okay, well, check it out. Why didn't you just bend your knees in the first place? Why did you have to try to do it? Well, it's because in PE class, the teacher's always like, make sure you keep your legs straight because you're trying to stretch your hamstrings. But when we're jumping, that couldn't be further from the truth, right? If you watch me jump, my leg, when I do this, will never get straight. It always has a slight bend to it, but that's completely okay because it's dynamic. It's not static. I'm not trying to get a stretch in the air to lengthen it. I'm just trying to get a reflex, so it stretches out and pulls back. So what I'm going to do is have the athlete do it again. I say, okay, everybody take your hands up and touch your toes again. And I want to see, did they make that connection of, are they trying to do this again? Or second time I ask them to do it, are they bending? And usually you see a lot of them trying to keep their legs straight again because it's been ingrained in your psyche that you've got to have your legs straight. So I said, okay, everybody, touch right here. This is your ribs. Everybody touch your ribs. So they touch your ribs. And I say, okay, now keeping your hands on your ribs, I want your hands to touch your thighs. This is your thighs, okay? I want your hands to touch your thighs. So you see this, and they get in this nice position. I'm like, okay, this is the position you need to get in the air. My ribs, via my hands, are touching my thighs. This is a great position. So I can jump in the air, and if my legs are right here at 90 degrees, and I go to straighten them, what happens? It goes down. But if I get this above 90, so that my rib touches my thigh, then my foot, even though it's bent, is actually in a higher position than if it was straight. So here it's 90 degrees, it's straight, but here it's bent, but notice this is above 90 degrees. So 90 degrees would be parallel to the ground, and notice that I'm up here instead of down here. So every time I jump, right before I land, I have to get this above 90. I have to. It doesn't matter if I get this above 90, it doesn't matter if I don't get it straight, it'll be in a better position. So what I have to do is get the athlete to touch the ribs to the thighs. So the first thing I'm going to do is have them just kind of walk. And y'all have done this drill right here, right? Frankensteins, toy soldiers, all kind of names for them, right? What do they do? Straight leg, right? Straight leg. And I say, no, I want you to bend your knee when you do it. So now I want you to bend and try to get your rib to touch your thighs while doing it. So now we're here, 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 here. You notice the chest will come down a little bit, but you want the rib to touch their thigh. And the key is, for them to do that, they have to get this above 90. Then I say, okay, when you do that, I want you to think about getting to here and then kicking your heel up. So, boom, boom. Okay, if they can get comfortable doing that, then they can progress to the next thing. If I jump in the air, it's like I get a little pause, and then I get above 90. So it's going to get here, boom, 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 boom. So if you remember the accordion drill, what did we do? We tried to get that little crunch, right? So now we're bringing that crunch back in. All right, so get that nice crunch. Then I'm going to come over here. And the whole thing is to get them to jump in the air and get above 90. So I say, don't even worry about trying to land or trying to collapse. Just get it 90 degrees. So I have them come back here, and they're just going to run, jump, and try to get that up above 90. So boom, boom. You see that little motion? I got here, and boom, that little crunch, right? Boom. That's all I want them to do. So a lot of times I'll say just do a chair pose. So I come out and just chair pose, right? Kind of almost like we're doing a sail, right? From the sail technique video. Now I want that little bit of motion. Boom, 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 boom. Just boom, boom. Then I can have them extend up a little bit to try to do this motion. Boom, boom. And it doesn't matter if you do a hitch kick, double hitch kick, any of those. When you get into that last phase of long jump or triple jump, even if you're doing a single hitch kick, boom, boom, you still need to get that foot up. And I'll show you a hitch kick to demonstrate in a second. But, so now I'm just going to get that little crunch, but now I'm going to pull my feet up. See, I didn't bend my knees, or I didn't have straight legs. They stayed bent, but I got that foot up. So instead of landing here, I got to go here and travel a little further. The more comfortable I do get with this, the more comfortable I can get with my thighs coming down to touch my thighs. And instead of being here, I'll be here. So I can sweep through, I can sweep to, it doesn't matter, but I can get a nice move. So this is what it'll look like. Okay, so you notice I still came down like this, but I had this great position. So then the next thing you're going to do is say, I want you to hold and delay when it is that you get into that pike position. So instead of jumping and immediately getting into it, hold a little bit till you're later in that parabola, then get into that sweep. And it doesn't matter if you sweep through, you sweep to, you just want your ribs to touch your thighs.
I'll add a few comments here. Here's Robert Emmiyan. When a few people jump over 29 feet, he's done it. Here is Irving Saladino, and you can see this goes over 9 meters. You can see this beautiful sweep through, and notice the thigh angles above 90. Here we see it again with a hitch kick. And this time she doesn't bring her chest quite as low, but you can see she brings her thighs real high. Notice the thigh right there connects to her chest. And we can see the same thing here with a slightly lower angle